The Modern Family. Let us bridge the gap between generations. Let us shape up the modern family. The Modern Family. Join the discussion and give us your feedback. Live with Hatem Al Salam and Dr. Wa'il Al-Harasi. The Modern Family.
Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and good evening, dear listeners, and welcome to our show, The Modern Family, with me, Wa'il Al-Harasi,
and Hatem Al Salam,
Ali Al-Maskari,
and
Yahya Rahi.
Our dear guest. We have lined up wonderful guests today, Yahya Al-Rawahi and Ali Al-Maskari, who are parents, both parents to disabled children. As we always inform you that we have dedicated 3 months to talk about children with disability and living with children with disability. Today is a unique show because we are not talking with experts in governments or in hospitals, but nevertheless they are experts in how to deal and how to live with a disabled child. So welcome, Sheikh Ali, Sheikh Yahya, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hatem,
yes,
I think we are both excited today to listen to what they have to say. We have talked a lot about the importance of family and the importance of parents in dealing with disability. Show after show, it's the same message, that we shall not depend entirely or blame entirely the government or anybody else for looking after our children. It's the parents who make the most of the difference to the child and the society itself. Looking at all societies, I think, were started with parents who have found difficulties in finding the right solution or service within the government to serve their children, and they just decided to start their own society or association. Today we would like to listen from you, Sheikh Ali and Yahya, both different disabilities, children. You have children with different disabilities, totally different ages, and the floor is all yours. Okay. We'll start with you, Sheikh Ali.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, my daughter now, she is in the second year of college. She was born with hearing impairments.
Yeah.
And that is one of the most challenge, what we think it is. Because hearing is connected to the speech. So if she cannot hear, she cannot talk. And that makes life very, very difficult. Now, we did not realize at the beginning that she had impairments. So we didn't notice the first few months, which is the most critical few months. We only came to know later on, and fortunately it was not too late. So then we had an early intervention, which is, we consider ourselves very fortunate.
Yes, and we always think that early intervention, and what we have learned from this show, from Sabah Al-Bahlani, that early intervention is one of the key elements of successful treatment and rehabilitation.
we wanted to know, and we're keen to know, what are the symptoms that brought you to the conclusion that your child has impairment? What did you notice in your child?
It's a very interesting question, because we didn't notice anything at all a few 6 months, I would say. At one event that we attended, the what do you call
fireworks. Yeah.
And all the kids were excited, crying, shouting, and she was so quiet, just staring at the lights.
How old was she?
She was about between 6 to 8 months, I would say.
Which normally children would just cry and scream because of the noise.
The noise, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Either fear or excitement.
Yes.
So she was just staring it, and somebody noticed her that she is not part of the group. And that was informed to my wife, and then when she came back home, of course, I didn't notice that there was something happened. Therefore, she kept it quiet for a while until she was convinced that now it's time to break the news. Well, of course, we have to run to the hospital immediately to see
what went wrong. Or
yes, exactly what happened. Is it true? Is it true? First, we have to go and find out, is it true? Yes, there was a small test, very basic test, is that you hit the spoons behind the
Yes.
at the back, and she was not turning around. So then, personally, I was
Convinced.
that she cannot. Yeah, but by how much we don't know. But we know that was the first test, and
We'll come back to how you felt, because that is a very important thing. We'll come back to that once we speak to Yahya. So Yahya,
Yes.
I know that you have a totally different experience. Please share it with us and with the listeners.
Well, I have a daughter, my daughter Ruqayya. She's 2 years old now. She was born normal, and when she was born, actually, she was weighing above the average. And
Mashallah.
normally, a newborn baby will be kept in hospital for 1 full day.
Yeah.
But because she was really
Healthy.
they kept her only for a few hours, and they just discharged us, and they said your daughter is very well and she's healthy, no problems. We had an experience with an earlier daughter who had some disability, and we were worried that this new baby would be a similar case, and because of that they did a lot of tests, and they assured us that nothing wrong with this baby.
So although you spent just few hours,
Yeah.
but all the necessary tests, given the history of a disability in the family, that was all performed in the
Yes.
hospital.
Actually, and they insisted on the delivery to be at what you call a main hospital. I mean,
Yeah.
Nizwa Hospital.
Yes.
We are from Samail, and they refused to take her to Samail.
Okay.
They said you have to deliver at Nizwa Hospital so that they can get all the care needed and they can do all the tests they need to do.
Okay.
Because of the size of the baby?
No, because of the history of the
Because of the history.
yeah, of the
Because
other
what
daughter.
the listeners don't know is that Yahya, his second daughter had a disability, and she passed away.
She,
So-
at the age of 7.
At the age of 7, she
7.
passed away because of that disability.
She was born with disability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you never come to know when they are born.
Yeah.
So we noticed after, few days that she's not accepting feeding. I mean, she's not feeding well, and she kept throwing out all the milk.
This is Ruqayya, your second
This is
child.
Ruqayya. Same symptoms, actually.
Same systems, okay.
Yeah. That's why we knew that something was wrong, because we had an experience before. Otherwise, we wouldn't have noticed. I mean, so, yeah, we came. Well, we were not sure because all the tests and the hospital
showed that
doctors
she's
assured
normal.
us that nothing wrong with her. But then we kept taking her back to hospitals, and we tried both government and private hospitals.
And they told you that she's absolutely normal.
Yes, and actually they accused us of not knowing how to feed her. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So what happened next when you had this sort of accusation, let's say, that it's your fault and there is nothing wrong with the baby? What happened next?
Actually, what we decided, I mean, because we were sure that it's not the way we are trying to feed her. I mean, and we were I would say lucky and unlucky having an experience.
Okay.
Yeah. We knew that there's something wrong, so we took the decision that we need to go abroad.
Okay, so you went abroad.
Yeah.
What happened next?
Abroad, they were able to tell us that there's something wrong with her, that her muscles are very weak, so that she cannot keep or thrive properly.
Okay.
So they gave us some medication to help with that, and once she took that medication, she stopped throwing away the milk.
So immediately you saw the
Immediately
effects.
on the same day.
Okay.
And we were so much happy that
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So how old is Ruqayya now?
She's 26 months now.
Okay. We haven't spoken about the disability itself. So tell us about the condition. What I know is that this disability is not diagnosed. It doesn't have a medical name so far.
As far as the doctors told us, yes, that's the case. They don't know what's wrong with her. All the tests that they have done shows normal. But she's not growing. She's not developing as normal.
So she's 2 years old?
She's 2 years old, and she looks like a child 6 months old.
6 months old. And she doesn't speak?
Doesn't speak.
Does she respond to movements?
She started recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you remember Hatim when Sabah was here in the first couple of shows, that in the early intervention center they sometimes tell you or gauge the actual age of the child. The child could be 2 years old, but according to the health, they could tell you, well, she is 6 months or 3 months old, and this is what's happening with Ruqayya.
Yeah.
What did you feel what was the feeling inside you and the mother of the child when you realized that Ruqayya also is going through what Al-Balja went through?
Actually, by the way, Al-Balja is my first child.
Yes.
Second child who passed away.
Yeah.
Well, myself, I knew that she's not normal and she had this disability. And being a Muslim, you accept and you know this is something that you have to deal with. Yeah.
So you haven't gone through any sort of stage of denial?
Yeah, but the mother did, actually.
Right.
The mother first started denying that there's something wrong with the girl, and she was trying. I mean, even myself, when speaking to her, she just doesn't accept the reality.
Yeah.
Just
of course, I would feel for the mother, because the mother always wants a friend. And a female child would be the friend who would grow up with her and be a friend and go out together, shopping together, come back together and share responsibilities, share stories,
indeed, and
share feelings.
Especially when she was really looking forward to have a second girl, because we have one daughter who's normal now.
Yeah.
But after that, we didn't have any girls.
Alhamdulillah, as you said, it is our religion and the faith that keeps you believing and keeps you intact when such a news is delivered. Sheikh Ali, we'll come back to you and the feeling when you actually had the news, the news was broken to you.
Well, it is you have a choice to accept or not to accept. If you don't accept, one day you have to accept.
Yeah.
So might as well bite the bullet once and accept it. The challenge is what to do next.
Right.
Then again, the only place we know is the hospital. We went to the hospital again to say, okay, now we know we have a disabled child with an impairing head. What is the solution? They said, okay, you have to make an appointment, and we had an appointment 6 months later.
6 months?
So that was not acceptable to us, at least. So we decided to do something else instead, which is move out to another neighboring country for 2 reasons: for second opinion and for a better appointment. There again, we got appointment second day, so that was good.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big difference. The results were the same, although it did not change the results.
Yeah.
But at least we have this opportunity to do something about it. Then she had to put hearing aids, and we were told this will be part and parcels of her body.
Yeah.
At that young age?
At very below 1 year, she was.
Was she responsive immediately?
Yes, she was very happy that we were very lucky again. Probably for her was excitement to hear voices and sounds.
Yeah. There are two key learnings here. One, the importance, again, we emphasize on the importance of the response of the parents. You did not surrender for the first obstacle from someone that you should trust, which is the medical system.
Correct.
To be there for you immediately.
Correct.
Okay? Which unfortunately you were let down and you were told you have to wait another 6 months.
Correct.
So the child shall wait 6 months and refuse the early intervention right. And you said no, and you went ahead. So lesson number one, the importance, again, we emphasize, of parents taking action immediately.
Correct.
The second message is we need quicker response from our government and the health system. Although I believe this story is a long time ago, and I hope that today we see
Things
improvements,
are different,
and hopefully there is already improvement in the health system and the health care given. I'm sure there is, but we always strive for better. We don't blame, but we want to work together with the government for a better healthcare system. So the second question, we talked about the feelings instantly after you've got the news. How did you change? Tell the parents who are listening, what made you change? To what sort of attitude you wanted to be? Were you thinking of yourself more? How will I care to this child? How demanded my services will be? Or did you think about what this really little human being needs and how will I provide it to? So was it you the priority or the child? I know it's a very silly question, but it's a question
it's a very important question, because then for me immediately the latter one was the main concern. She is going to be in this society. She cannot speak, she cannot hear it. How will she cope for the rest of her life? Because everything else was normal. The mental power was normal.
Yeah.
The only thing is she won't be able to hear or speak.
Yeah.
So we had to provide all what we have for her to be able to speak, to cope with the situation. Well, I consider myself very fortunate, because then opportunities did come. But again, talking about parents don't take the medical experts, not necessarily experts in some areas. Very simple. We were told not to talk to her into different language, only single language, because she'll be confused, she cannot cope, she is disabled. Well, we challenge that as well, because we know that future is you have to have more than one language.
So you trusted your own gut feeling rather than expert advice.
Correct.
Okay.
So today she is fluent in both language, Arabic and English.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, she can read and write both languages.
So you've proved them wrong.
Well, we proved that you don't have to take it's all their opinion for individuals.
Yeah.
And they have the different, and you should take your own neutral decision.
Being a parent, you know better than, because you're living with a child, you can see their condition and you can judge more precisely than the medical.
And you believe in yourself, you believe in your child.
Exactly.
Why shall anything stop you?
Indeed.
Absolutely.
You give it a go. Nothing would do. It won't do you any harm.
Correct.
So that's another message, another learning today is that you need to believe in yourself and believe in your child, no matter how disabled they are. You never know when you will discover how able they are.
Yes. And the message to the parents is don't give it up. You give all support you can give, because that's the time where the child needs parents.
Yeah. So you will have Hatim, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to say that it's very important that he said that he tried his level best so that his daughter can cope with the surrounding, with the environment, with other people. But also you have other children at home who are not affected with the disability, and would they also need to be trained how to cope with their sister? For sure they notice maybe something is wrong with her.
That is a very important question, because that's again, if we were to follow what doctor told us, then we would have encountered very difficult for the rest of our lives, because the doctor insisted that we should learn sign language, and she should learn the sign language, and we refused that totally.
Yeah, it's you remember I mentioned the story several episodes before of a professor at the university who had a child, and he was told, wheelchairs are so advanced today. Your child will never walk, but don't worry, there are very good wheelchairs nowadays. And he refused to listen to that, the same way that you refused to listen to the expert advice. And he said, listen, I will try with my child to let him walk. And he did a lot to the child, and this is exactly what you did. That now your child is able to speak more than one language, and there were actually no barriers. But I'm sure there are other difficulties, which we will raise the question to Yahya first. Yahya, Sheikh Ali is in Muscat, where everything starts here in Muscat. You live in Sama'il, and it's quite difficult to get the right support sometimes when you live away from Muscat. We appreciate that. please tell us what are the main difficulties that you faced with living with a child with disabilities in your house, outside the house and inside the house.
Okay, let me start first with outside the house. I mean, as you said, we don't have expert centers for such cases. And even in Muscat, I mean, I'm not aware of many centers which deal with disabled children. And, the first problem was getting specialized medical care.
Yeah.
I mean, when we noticed the issue with the child when she was 2 months old, I mean, the only place we could go to was the government hospital in Samay itself.
Yeah.
And to get transferred to one of the central hospitals like the Royal Hospital or SQU Hospital, it was a challenge. I mean, we couldn't manage to get her transferred there. I mean, every time they send a request for an appointment, it get rejected. Because
Really? Despite the history in the family, despite that this is an infant who needs attention immediately, despite being in Sama'il, despite being a daughter to very young couples, all of that, and still you are refused.
We were refused, and
amazing.
Yeah,
and this is recent.
Yes, that was 2 years ago.
This is just 2 years ago.
Yes.
I mean, no matter how we try sometimes to be positive and supportive, but I think we need to give the message out there to everybody and anyone who is listening and who works for the government, to any Omani, that we need to change this, and we need to change this fast. This little child here was refused medical treatment and medical care, and, well, basically early intervention. She's a citizen, she has full right and full access to healthcare, but you were all, as a family, let down, and you had to go abroad.
We had to go abroad, and after we came back with all the reports, with all the treatment that we were given, the doctors wrote another letter explaining all this. And then finally we got the appointment with the Royal Hospital, and now the case is being followed by the Royal Hospital doctors.
I hope that this will change in our medical. It's a shame. If you told me that this happened 10 years ago, I'd say, yeah, okay. But just 2 years ago, and this is still happening, that somebody is refused medical treatment.
Well, I guess the system is not there, I mean, to assess the criticality of each condition, because what I asked about this. When I went to Royal Hospital, I asked them, why didn't you accept our case from the beginning? And they said, we every day we receive tens, even hundreds of those referral requests. And unless the doctor from that hospital makes it clear the criticality of the condition, it's difficult for them to decide which one is really genuine or not.
So what you say, that they complain that they don't have enough resources to cater for all the cases here in Oman, in one hospital, in Royal Hospital, in Muscat. Then you have people living really far away from Muscat. What about people living in Sharqiya, in Batna, in Dhufar, in Musannam? What about those people? I think they have all, I believe they have all exactly same rights, and we shouldn't have people treated according to where they live.
And they should have specialists in all these areas. They should not be referred to Muscat. If specialists exist in Muscat, they should also exist in other hospitals and areas.
Indeed, I mean,
this will solve the problem.
I mean, you can imagine now, for all those follow-ups, I work in Muscat, and the mother works also. And for every appointment, we have to make arrangements, we have to take leave, we have, getting the care close by makes it much better and much easier.
But alhamdulillah, now with the roads between Sama'il and Muscat, it has improved. So let us be positive and look at the parents themselves. That Ruqayya is fortunate to have you as a parent, because you took the right action immediately and you didn't wait. And this is a message that we would like to take across to every family listening to us. So this is difficulties outside. Inside the house, which is more important, inside the household, how do you deal with Ruqayya, and how do the siblings, as Hatem said, deal with Ruqayya? How is your day-to-day activities go around with Ruqayya in-house? How do you involve her?
Okay. All right. Once we came to know about the condition, we confirmed, and the first challenge I had at home was to make the mother accept the condition,
Right.
because she was still trying to deny. Then she came into realizing that it is a genuine condition,
Yeah.
but she tries to blame everything else out. I mean, she would.
She might blame the medical system, maybe the latest.
Yeah.
But it is sometimes that.
But it's the first thing I had to sit with her and explain to her that whatever it is, we have a child that we need to deal with.
Yes.
Yeah?
And care for.
Yeah, and care for. And because we had an experience before, the first decision we took was to treat her normal.
Brilliant.
Yeah, because to be honest with you, the first child we were inexperienced, and she was our second child. We were still young.
Yahya, I really like what you just said there. If you notice, what Yahya said is that we decided to treat her normal. He didn't even say we treat her like normal.
Yeah.
So because once you say that, you admit that she is totally different, and you have to put extra effort to. But what you said is that we will treat her normal like any other child. And I salute you for that. I think that's absolutely brilliant.
When I say normal, I mean treating her like any other healthy child.
Yes.
But still, she needs some special care, of course.
Yeah.
But, okay, fine. We agreed on that. And if I can give you one example, I mean, when she was 1 year old, normally we Omanis, we celebrate the first birthday.
Hol.
We insisted on making it a normal celebration. So.
With inviting everybody.
Inviting everybody, and her brothers and sisters, one sister.
Yeah.
They were all happy. They were. I mean, it was a normal.
The neighbors, the family.
Everybody.
Because what sometimes, unfortunately, in our culture, people will try and hide the child and cover. Maybe you wouldn't even know. The neighbor wouldn't even know. Even if you might have a neighbor who lives with you 20 years, and you never know that they have a disabled child because they keep hiding them. Yeah. So that is another thing that we always try and convey the message that let them integrate with the society.
Indeed. Okay, that's one thing. And what I do is I always involve her in all our family activities. For example, we do sit every day for reading Quran, and I always take Ruqayya and put her in my lap while we are reading.
And how many children do you have, Yahya?
I have 5 children with Ruqayya.
5 children with Ruqayya.
Yeah.
And every day you sit around with your children,
Yeah.
teaching them a Quran, and you might teach them other, I believe, Arabic as well.
Yes, I do.
Yeah?
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes. And Ruqayya,
It's always with us.
always there.
Yeah.
That's, dear listeners, I think this is an inspirational story here, and such an exemplary father you are, Yahya, and of course Ruqayya's mother as well, because a human being is not made up of just flesh and body and blood, but there is a mind behind that body. Yes, she does not respond, but maybe it's just a physical disability. The mind up there, she might be a scholar. She might be a thinker in her own world.
Yeah.
And you never know. This is what we are accountable for, is our minds.
Indeed.
And she's a Muslim, and she will be with us, inshallah, all in Jannah, and in the hereafter will be questioned about our thoughts, if our belief, and involving her as a normal child as an intellect, talking to her as an intellect is very important, because you nurture her and you give her the right of knowledge. Otherwise, if you think that disability, physical disability, is also means mental disability, and just exclude her from activity, I think we will be questioned in front of Allah that we have denied the child the right to knowledge. So Yahya, brilliant Yahya. I don't know if I can do that, but Alhamdulillah, this is a test, and inshallah may Allah help you in your test. Sheikh Ali,
Yes, sir.
you have also children other than Shayma.
Yeah, Shayma, she is the only girl in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she has many challenges. She has 3 brothers. Now, not only she's a girl, she has disabilities.
Yeah.
Therefore, she is in a difficult position. Now, as what Sheikh Yahya said, we treated her normal. So if there's any discussion, she takes place in the discussion. And sometimes, yes, is a bit time she has to ask 3-4 times what we said because she cannot hear each and everything.
How do you do it, Sheikh Ali? You explained at the beginning that you did not want to learn the sign language. So how did you overcome this challenge? How did you communicate with her at the beginning?
That's very good. As I said that I was very fortunate. My professional required me to go outside Oman, and she came with us. And at very early stages at school, we had a specialist from USA to the school sitting next to Shema only for her. So she was...
So you were in the USA?
No, we are in Europe. But the teacher was brought from US specifically for her.
Specifically for Shema?
For Shema.
One-on-one basis.
Did you pay for all of that?
No.
So she is not a citizen, but she was given a dedicated...
from school.
From school. They didn't have in the country anyone qualified, maybe, and they made the effort to fly somebody from abroad.
To provide someone.
The teacher was doing nothing except for Shema. She was there only specific for one child.
What does this tell you, Hatem?
It tells us a lot that the value of a human being,
regardless of whether she's a citizen or not.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You need to respect the right of human beings and give them the basic human rights to knowledge.
And I'm sure the authorities who have made the decision to bring this teacher for Shema, if they see the progress that Shema is doing at the moment, they would be very proud of her. And they would be thankful that they took this move and provided her with the necessary tools for her to learn and to develop and to become who she is today.
Correct. And that really was a turning moment, because from there Shema really progressed very, very fast. And those 3 years outside Oman, we took the most of the opportunities available.
So she was taught in school by this teacher, and then at home, did you have to go through any sort of training so that you can cope with what she's being taught at school?
Okay, that's a very interesting question, because we were taught as well by the teacher as well how to communicate with her. Because the teachers knew her more than what we did in terms of what Shema can hear, what she cannot hear.
Yeah.
So there's some sounds specifically, so we had to really put emphasis on those sounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were trained how to communicate with her in terms of sounds, not signs.
What about lip reading?
She's the strength of her is lip reading.
Okay.
Now in this class, we told the teacher about her. And again, the school provided with the specific instruments, the FM instruments. The teacher will put the microphone on, and Shema will put the headphones on. So when the teacher turns around, she can still hear it.
Great.
Interesting.
Great. So what about the siblings at home?
You had to train them.
You said, you had to train them, and plus the attention. You give more attention to girls anyway.
In normal circumstances, yes. Here we deliberately said, no, we will treat them equally. Not only equally, Shema has to understand that if we treat her anything different here, nobody else outside will treat her any different. So she has to cope with the world.
So sometimes you also made tough decisions to treat her in a little bit, maybe, not very softly. Yes. Dear listeners, we would like to hear also your stories and your side of the story. If you know any child with disability, if you live with a child with disability, or have anything to add to the show, you can call us on 24602058. That's 24602058.
Yahya, what did your other children think about Ruqayya? When they sit and talk to you, and do they mention Ruqayya? Do they love Ruqayya? Do they bond with Ruqayya?
Alright, let's start first when they came to know about her. The youngest child I have is a daughter, and she's 14 years old now. And she knows about the first experience, and she was there when she
The eldest, you mean?
The eldest.
The eldest, okay.
So she knows, and I mean, she was also worried. I mean, having gone through the first experience and having this
and the trauma of losing a sister.
Yeah. So, but I had to sit with her and tell her that this is the will of Allah, and the important thing is she's your sister, and you should treat her as a normal sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what she did actually. And the other brothers who are still young, but they know they don't realize what's wrong with her, but they treat her as normal as they can. I mean, they try to play with her, and even the smallest kid who goes to school now, every time he comes back from school, he goes and shows her what he learned today at school.
Great.
Yeah. I mean,
does Ruqayya have facial expressions? Does she show
she started
the joy and happiness?
She started recently. Yeah. I mean, Alhamdulillah, there is some development, although not normal development. I mean, it's very slow, but she's starting to react. I mean, she smiles when somebody talks to her, and now she starts to grab things.
MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. So
and
that's really good.
And to be, I mean, the development we are seeing here now, I mean, we wouldn't have expected at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, we were told that she might not develop those capabilities at all. But we thought, no, we would do whatever we can.
Yes.
In order to help her. I mean, to be fair also, I mean, the medical team also told us that if you do some physiotherapy, it might help. Yeah. And they arranged a physiotherapy treatment on weekly basis. But we thought that one day a week is not enough. So what we did, we learned what kind of exercise they do, and we do it at home.
At home. Yeah. I just wanted to ask you, Yahya, does Ruqayya cry?
She does.
She does cry.
She does cry.
And we have kids as well, and sometimes when they cry, we don't know what's wrong with them, whether they are hungry or they are feeling pain or anything is bothering them. What's the case with Ruqayya?
Well, that's one of the challenges that we have to deal with daily. I mean, as you said, when she cries, you don't know why she's crying. Is she hungry? Is something hurting her?
Yeah.
That's something we have to deal with daily, and now we got to know somehow.
Yeah.
Well,
what's wrong with her?
Certain conditions why she's crying.
Okay.
Sometimes she's just crying because she doesn't feel comfortable. Yeah. And
so you should buy her a better chair or cradle. Okay. Yahya, another question. When your children would like to introduce their neighbors or explain to somebody new in the house, this is Ruqayya, this is our sister, have you ever heard them talk to other children that this is our sister and try and explain the condition? How do they explain it?
Actually, with the enthusiasm.
Okay.
I mean, I was surprised. I mean, her brother was now 7 years old. So I heard him one day explaining to some of his nephews and nieces the condition of Ruqayya, and he's telling them, we can play with her, but be careful, I mean, because she's still young. He didn't mention anything about her disability. He's just warning them that she's still young, so we need to take care of her.
Sheikh Ali, that's down to the parents. It's how you raise your children to be.
Exactly. I think really the ball squarely in the parents, because the parents themselves, they have to educate themselves as well when they are facing this kind of situations.
Yeah.
You have to learn and to accept. And you have to know what will be your role, because it's going to be a new role to you. It's not a normal role. So what additional miles you have to go to accommodate it?
I'm very much interested to know how do you equip your child to approach the outside world, And before you address that question, would like to remind our listeners that they can always join us with their comments or stories. They can call us on 24602058. That's 24602058. Now, most probably you lived with Shayma and with your other children at home. You all got used to each other, and she coped with you and with her siblings. But now you're training Shayma to be comfortable in the outside world. She might go to school and college and other things. How was that step to you? Was it an advanced step? Was it challenging, or was it a normal, like any other child?
As what Yahya said, we took her as a normal child, as like any other little daughter you will treat. However, we put her some additional strength. We told that you're going to face this, you're going to face this, you have to over-challenge this, you have to ignore this. So therefore, at school, she was happy. Now, outside was a bit difficult because she realized that she has some disabilities. But then we overcome that. At one time, she said, I want to learn how to drive.
Okay.
That was a challenge.
For the parents or for her?
For the parents.
It's a big leap, huh?
It's a big leap. So, fine, but you finish your Thanawiya first, and then you can... And she did. I said, okay, Thanawiya is done. Where's the car?
Yeah.
Well, then I have to accept it, because that's we put that condition. We have to accept now.
And did you think she can make it?
She is driving now.
She's driving, mashallah.
And she went only 3 tests and she passed it. In fact, the first test she came back, she said, I should have passed this one. And the second test, she was about to pass, and police said, no, you drove on the pitch of water, did not break it down. She said, you give me another policeman, you are not good.
So she has a personality as well.
That has been built in, yes.
Yeah. So we went through the difficulties. How is the daily life with the siblings? I mean, let's focus on them as adults. Do you feel at all? I know you treated her like her other siblings. I would like to know, now they are all adults, grown-up adults. Do they treat her? Have they ever treated her with any sort of sympathy whatsoever?
No.
Never?
Never. Because that was the early stages we embedded in them, that she is... Because she doesn't have a mental disability. She's only hearing impaired, yeah? So we said this is normal, like somebody put their glasses on, this you put the hearings on.
Yeah.
So we try to make it that it's no big deal, it is just a minor thing.
So no sympathy, because one of the things is that the society always treat people with disability with a lot of sympathy, to the extent that they don't like it.
Yes, correct. Very much so. Correct.
They don't like it at all. They feel that, why do you look down to us?
Exactly.
We are normal, treat us normal, talk to us. When she drives or goes to a bank or anything, do these places have facilities for people with hearing impairment?
I think for Shayma, she doesn't feel herself that she has a hearing impairment. She treats herself as though she is normal as well.
Okay. Do people notice?
No.
Never noticed that she has?
She can come in and out here without noticing it.
Okay, Sheikh Ali, we have a caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Wael. Good evening everyone in the studio.
Good evening to you.
Yeah, this is Ahmed Al-Azizi.
Oh, Ahmed, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
I'm fine.
We're glad to have you in the show. By the way, Ahmed Al-Azizi is my colleague at work, and as well as Yahya. So it's good and bad to have you all in here, because it feels as if I'm in the office now.
We'll talk about this tomorrow, but for now, I have no real story to share, but I want to pass a message to Yahya. We are really proud of you, Yahya, as a friend, as a brother. Whatever you have done with Ruqayya, I will encourage you to keep it up. I mean, we never saw Yahya sad at work or complaining about his daughter's situation. He's always smiling. He's always having fun. never impacted his work performance. So Yahya, keep it up. We are proud of you and we support you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. Thank you very much. That's a really good message and very touching as well. You almost made me cry.
Thank you, Ahmed.
That's all from my side. And Yahya, you are setting an example for all fathers. So good, well done, Yahya.
Thank you very much indeed, Ahmed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Yeah, ma'as-salam. Yes, so Yahya, indeed, I think Ahmed was spot on there. He's always bubbly, he always makes us laugh, and you never feel that he has something that worries him, because I think you need to be like that to be able to face such challenges. And I'm sure there are times where you feel down.
Indeed, but to be honest with you, I feel I'm blessed with Ruqayya.
Alhamdulillah.
I mean, I treat her as a gift from Allah.
Alhamdulillah.
It's an opportunity for me to get the rewards. I mean,
Yes.
and I translated that message to her mother,
Yeah.
to our family, the close family. I mean, everybody appreciates that. I mean, and dealing with it that way makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
And it's very, very important to work as a team
Indeed.
at home.
Indeed.
If you're all on the same page, you have one goal, is to make Ruqayya's life comfortable, most comfortable, and to treat her as one of a beloved member of a family, then for sure Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless your lives and make it easy on you. And you will see the fruits of this, whether in this life or in the hereafter.
Inshallah.
Have you come across any of you with a parent with a child with disability, and you thought, this person is not doing what is right for the child, and I will speak to them? Have you came across with, or any parent, and you thought, I need to share my experience with this person? Have you come across that, and what was the reaction?
Actually, I know one case, but to be honest with you, I didn't have the opportunity to talk to that guy. And then I have a neighbor, and only by chance I came to know that he had a disabled daughter. I believe she has the Down syndrome.
Down syndrome is one of the topics that we will talk, inshallah, about very, very shortly.
I mean, she's an adult now, and I never knew that he had a daughter, and let alone knowing that she's disabled. And I was really shocked at the way they were trying to hide the fact that they have a disabled daughter. I believe that's totally wrong.
Again, the stigma and the... Yeah? I think we have a caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. We're all doing well.
Thank you for this very interesting program.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, this is Dr. Harith.
Dr. Harith Al-Harthi.
Naam.
How are you, Doctor?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. How are you guys?
We are fine, thank you, and we are honored to have you with us in the show, Dr. Harith.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
What do you make up of the show so far?
This is the first episode I'm listening to, and a lot of what has been said actually, I felt personally connected to the stories that are being told now.
Yeah.
I've been through a similar situation with a sick child, and as a doctor, although I deal with health and sickness on daily basis in the hospital, but having a sick child is a totally different story. You know, regardless of how much knowledge you have or experience you have, you really need, as Sheikh Ali said, you really need to train yourself on this new role. You don't expect to know how to deal with this situation from the first day or two or three. You need to hold them together as they kindly mentioned. But yes.
Okay, so it's the emotional side. It takes over. So despite all the training someone might have, the emotional side could take over things, and you won't be able to make the right judgment. Is that what you're trying to say, Dr. Harith?
Yes, and I think like myself, going through the last 7 or 8 months of treatment of my son, I did accumulate a lot of knowledge, experience, and I tried my best to share with kids that are diagnosed with similar condition like my son. And I think that is something we really need in Oman, for us to hold together, to form some form of community support groups that share and diffuse the experiences, like Sheikh Ali, what he said, a child with a hearing disability or hearing impairment, from recognizing the early symptoms, like what he said, just focusing on a child not paying attention to fireworks and the noise created by them, and then the appointment systems and how to overcome the long appointment. All of these are experiences that we together we could share, and I could benefit other parents or who are passing or could pass through the same experience in the future.
Dr. Harith, it's very important what you have just said, knowledge sharing and knowledge transfer. I work for PDO, and today I was in a meeting trying to make a system for knowledge transfer, and knowledge management is a big thing there. And one of the things is we do is we have a forum. We make forums to share very specific types of knowledge and experiences, and invite people to come along and share the experiences or to learn. And I think it would be a very good idea, even if we start a single event where any parent with child or children with disability are welcome to that event, just to sit down and talk and in a very informal way to share experiences. And if that would be accepted and received in a good way, maybe we could continue and do that annually, quarterly, whatever.
Yes, I was talking actually about this with Sabah Al-Bahlani, and I think we could together, we have a tremendous amount of wealth within us in the community.
Yes.
Be it administrative, be it management, being skills, etc. I think we could structure something instead of, and I proposed to her that we could form maybe a health society in which under that health society, individual groups that are concerned with health conditions, physical or mental, could work together. So hearing impairment, parents with children who are having hearing impairment could come together and have a place where they meet, where they organize events. They can push toward policy. What has been mentioned, like an appointment of 6 months, is something completely unacceptable. Then this group could work together and look into why it's 6 months. Why was it a problem with referral? Like the other child, the recognition of the regional hospital and the referral system. So we could look into the root causes that of the challenges that we are facing, and we could come up actually with solutions that the ministries or other institutions can adopt.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you, and I think the first step is what I would like to do now is maybe arrange a social event. Let's just make it a social event and invite any parent with a child disability. Let them just meet up and see how that goes. What do you think? Will you be able to do that and work with us for that?
Yes, I'll be delighted actually to attend. If we could disseminate, maybe identify key people who could work together as a group and push a project forward, that will be great, not only for now, even for future. And inshallah, thawab and blessings will be for anyone who can be involved in such a
I think
project.
Sheikh Ali here would like also to add something and to tell you something.
Yes, Dr. Harith, I would like to thank you very much for this intervention as well. I think it's very important for the health part and the education part to get together, because once we identify this from the clinical point of view, but what do you do about the education side of it?
Yes.
So,
Because I think, Sheikh Ali, the thing is that teachers need to learn from parents what the child actually needs.
Yes, and the teachers, the normal teachers, are not trained to handle this kind of cases.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes in some systems that not necessarily in Oman, but what your child had of a normal schooling with special consideration, that's the best that a child can get.
Exactly.
A school for the deaf is not a best school to have a deaf child in.
Because you isolate them and lose out the opportunity to integrate within the society. Dr. Harith, we are running out of time, but thank you very much for calling, and we'll stay in touch, inshallah, and we'll try and arrange an event, inshallah, sooner or later. Thank you very much again.
Shukran, and God bless you all.
Ameen, ameen, jami'an. Dear listeners, we are running out of time. We would like to thank Sheikh Ali bin Abdullah al-Maskari and Yahya bin Muhammad al-Rawahi, and my brother who is very quiet today here, Hatim al-Abd Salam. So thank you for listening to us, and see you next week, inshallah. And we will mention what is the next show, or the title of next show, on Twitter. So follow me or Hatim al-Abd Salam on Twitter, and we will announce shortly about next week's episode. From me, Wael al-Harrasi,
and Hatim al-Abd Salam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Knowing that this is our reward.